So can you tell me a little bit more about the V100 programme?
The police have come up with this great initiative, which is they know from their intelligence, from data, who are the most prolific offenders from previous convictions, from arrests made and so forth. So what the police are doing is targeting, frankly speaking, the 100 most dangerous sexual offenders, predators in London. They've made, as a consequence, using data and intelligence, hundreds of arrests. They've brought hundreds of charges, which has led to hundreds of prosecutions, and that means thousands and thousands of women and girls are now safer as a consequence of the police tackling dangerous predators.
While initiatives like V100 is crucial, what else do you plan to do to further shift our approach to being more preventative towards misogyny when addressing misogyny, so before it escalates to violence?
We want to use a public health approach towards this issue. To think about an illness or a disease, what would you do? We're tackling predators. We're using GPS tagging to make sure somebody's been released from prison for a previous conviction for domestic abuse, domestic violence, stalking. Is tagged, so if they breach their licence by going near the victim, they can be arrested and put back in prison. But let's stop the infection occurring in the first place. So we're giving schools support to have a toolkit to teach boys in particular, but girls as well, about healthy relationships, about how to tackle misogyny, about what the red flags are, about how to challenge your friends who may be acting inappropriately. We've invested in a public awareness campaign, Have a Word and Mate. At the same time, we've got to be supporting victims and survivors of domestic abuse, domestic violence and so forth, so we're supporting them as well.
How will you deepen that engagement with men and young boys to be able to create sustained long-term changes?
Firstly, men and boys have got to provide allyship to girls and women. This isn't an issue that only girls and women should be involved in. It's not only a women and girls issue, it's for all of us to resolve. These are deep societal issues that need to be addressed in terms of attitudes that we have towards women and girls. I'm somebody who, has got 6 brothers that I love, went to an all-boys school that I loved. I didn't really understand the experiences of women and girls of my age. I've never had somebody taking a photograph up my trousers. I've never been touched up on the tube or the bus. I've never gone to a concert and felt awkward because of the way people are behaving. But I'm afraid if you're a woman or a girl, that's a daily experience that you have. So me being more aware of that as a man is really important, particularly if you're in a position of power and influence, like it is really important that we address this as a society. All of us have a role to play. Teachers, parents, social workers, health practitioners, police officers, judges, magistrates, journalists, politicians. There is nobody in our society that shouldn't have a stake in terms of tackling this issue. And by the way, this is an international epidemic. In the UK, every 3 days, a woman is killed at the hands of a man. Across the globe, every 10 minutes, a woman is killed at the hands of a man. Nobody's born a murderer or born sexist. It starts early. And violence against women and girls is a symptom of deep societal issues. We've got to tackle those.
We can't talk about tackling gender-based violence without talking about policing, and given the failures of the Metropolitan Police when dealing with cases of gender-based violence, how can you reassure survivors and activists that intelligence-led policing will prioritise women's safety without reinforcing racial profiling or mistrust in marginalised communities?
It's under my leadership as the leader of this city that we've shone a spotlight on the police. No other police force in the country has had the scrutiny that I've brought on the Met Police Service. It's because of that we had the Casey report done, which showed, I'm afraid, that the police is institutionally sexist, institutionally misogynistic, institutionally homophobic, and indeed institutionally racist as well. It's really important that all police officers understand and empathise with this issue. So we're training and retraining our police officers, our sergeants, at every level to understand the importance of this issue. If you're the victim of a sexual offence, the experience you should have now from a police is very different to what it was before. So-called victim-blaming language is not acceptable in the police service, and that's led to, in the last year or two, an increase in number of people arrested and charged for rape. We're getting results in relation to the progress we've made by bringing scrutiny on the police service. By no way are we the finished article, but huge progress has been made. At the same time, we've trained our public transport staff. So if you're a member of the tube network staff or buses, you know how to respond if a member of the public comes to you and they're the victim of a sexual offence. But also, we're making sure we're doing things like trying to help the police and public transport and Londoners by having more CCTV.
We are at the International Summit to tackle gender-based violence here in City Hall. How are you ensuring that policies and practices stemming from today's summit address the specific experiences of disabled women, of members of the LGBTQ community, women of colour and migrant women that are at a heightened risk of violence?
Today's a landmark day. Today's the first ever international summit to tackle violence against women and girls. We've got, not just politicians, but policymakers, advocates, really important, experts, from cities from Amsterdam to Barcelona, Bogota to Nairobi. Lots of cities represented here today. And one of the things we're talking about is our shared experiences. What have we done in our respective cities to serve underserved communities, which is what you've referred to? What have we done in our cities to address the issue of gender-based violence, gender inequity? If you're a man who's an ethnic minority, you may suffer discrimination. If you're a woman, it adds another dimension. If you're a disabled woman, it adds another dimension. If you're from the LGBTQI plus community, it adds a further dimension. And these intersectional challenges is something we've got to address as politicians, but also policymakers as well. And because we've got advocates here today, they're making sure those experiences and those views are articulated.
At Refuge, we know that many survivors stay with their perpetrators due to financial barriers. Last time we spoke, you actually were giving additional funding to grassroots organisations. But beyond funding refuges, how are you ensuring access to long-term, affordable housing options for women that are escaping violence?
Well, firstly, funding is important. It's really important that we know where I can afford to fund these groups. I do so. We're lobbying the government, by the way, for additional funding. It's really important that the government understands the importance of this issue, and they do, by the way. They've got a target which is really ambitious, and we fully support to reduce by half violence against women and girls by the end of this decade. But at the core of why sometimes women don't leave their abusive partner is they can't afford to. And the cost of living crisis has compounded the housing crisis. And so what we have to do is a number of issues. Firstly, tackle the perpetrator. It should be him leaving, not the woman. Make it easier for a woman to leave by making sure there's transition support. And so we've given support in terms of supporting women financially in terms of that transition. But thirdly, at the core of this is houses are not affordable in London. Not enough housing is affordable in London. So we've got to build, and we are building, record numbers of genuinely affordable housing in London. We've got to make sure those women have access to this housing. One of the things we're lobbying the government for is not just more support for those charities, those groups like Refuge, but also more support financially for us to build more genuinely affordable homes.
Thank you so much for your time today, and I can't wait to see what comes out of the summit.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for speaking to me again.